1460 WVOX.
1460 WVOX.
Stay tuned now for the Racing for Heroes radio show with host Brett Morash on 1460 WVOX.
All right, Racing for Heroes fans, it is December 18th. We're here on WVOX 1460 on your AM dial, streaming worldwide, WVOX.com. And it is our last show of 2020, and we're looking forward to 2021 just like everyone else is. So anyway, but one of our final guests, and we're going to have a mystery guest today too, so little spooky out there, but is Brett Jones, former U.S. Marine, who worked at the 3rd Marine Air Wing out in Okinawa, and then at the 1st Marine Air Wing in California, before going off into the civilian space, where he's worked at major ad agencies like Ogilvy, and now he is working in the venture capital space. So without further ado, Brett, are you on the line?
I am here.
And you spell your name the same as me, like with the double T, so I'm truly appreciative of that.
It's the only way to spell it, right?
It is Brett with one T, sort of like I say the kind of the female way, but I don't want to genderize it any more than that. So Brett, so listen, I've known you now, I think maybe about 5 years, right? And you were very awesome when I remember you at Ogilvy, and I know you're awesome today. So tell us about your transition. Like, how did you go from the U.S. Marine Corps to a big firm like Ogilvy?
Oh yeah, well, I got out of the Marine Corps in San Diego and moved across the country to Atlanta to go to Georgia State University. Go Panthers. I got my degree in English, concentrated in rhetoric and composition, rhetoric being the art of persuasion.
Nice.
And took the LSAT, got accepted to the Atlanta John Marshall School of Law, admittedly my safety school, and decided not to, go that route. Called my old man, Casey Jones, and said, what do I do? He said, help me start this company, Brief Logic, which is all about grading input briefs from clients to their agencies. Under the notion, garbage in equals garbage out. So help your clients really tighten up their briefs through evaluating them, grading them, and telling them how to compose them more tightly to deliver their message.
That's amazing.
Yeah, saves a lot of money. $6 billion worth of marketing spend could be saved. I think has been impacted by the work that my father and his team has done at Brief Logic. And picked his brain for about a year. Didn't want to really follow his footsteps into advertising. Growing up, I was a punk, anarchist skater kid. He was also a Marine for Fidelis, but didn't think I was going to follow him in those footsteps either. But ended up doing both things because working with him for a year, I realized the creative world of advertising, much like the Marines, is a misplaced misfit.
That's right.
And so working next to, adjacent to creativity is just a lot of fun. Creativity breeds chaos, and it's where veterans can thrive.
Yeah, you bet. And I think when I first met you, you had just actually started the Veteran Affinity Group at Ogilvy, which I think a lot of companies out there, they talk about this, but they don't really do it. And you did it, because you saw a hole and you kind of filled it as Marines will. So tell us about starting a veteran group.
Yeah, I was a young professional at the time when I joined Ogilvy, a bachelor. So naturally, I joined young professionals to get access to the network of people outside of the projects I worked on, and also work with some of the executives. Right, I noticed that John Seifert really worked closely with the professional network. He was the worldwide CEO at the time, and I got really involved with the young professionals and after I launched Salute, Military Professionals Network, I was encouraged by my peers once I kind of said, hey, where is the Veterans Network? They said, why don't you start one, Jones? I said, all right, well, why not? And I got to tip my hat to Melissa Ng. She was really an inspiration there to help me get involved. And Donna Pedro, the Chief Diversity Officer, gave me all sorts of support. And I feel like it's really just a way to garner camaraderie amongst the veterans in the building. HR doesn't require a veteran to identify. And so, I just kind of had to plant a banner and say, assemble. And there was only about 12 of us in the building, at the time.
That's a fire team.
Kind of 2,000 people. So I kind of wanted to try and plant the banner again. And I wrote Shock and Awe Recruits, a book about my time in advertising and the 14 leadership traits of the Marine Corps and the 11 leadership principles that kind of propelled me through the 5 years at Ogilvy. I got promoted 3 times there, and got to spend 4 times a year with John Seifert and 12 other leads from the professional network, kind of getting a master class in what it takes to run a global agency.
Oh, that's incredible. And wait, but your book though, let's talk about that. So I know you wrote the book, but where can I buy it if I want to get a copy?
Oh, thanks for asking. shockandawrecruit.com. You can get the copy of the book and even some merch if you like coffee or towel, stock. By all means.
Well, I like coffee, so you got me at coffee. So that's 20 years in the Navy will do that to a man, as you can imagine. But
absolutely, I've got a warm cup in my hand right now.
As well do I. And I think we're waiting on, you have actually a racing story, but we're still waiting on our guest. I think he might be calling in right now.
Yeah, he should be calling in promptly as a shipmate does. He's a
we got him.
Commander in the Navy Reserves.
Yeah.
And he and I met at the Hickey Freeman Heroes and Leaders model shoot.
Oh, cool.
He's a handsome fella.
He is, and I know he's on the call right now and listening in. I don't want to say his name because I'm gonna let you do it, Brett. But I will say that one of the guys that's raced against him, Colin Garrett, who races the Racing for Heroes car, said he is one of the nicest people he's ever met. And I would like to say that I am going to root for him when he races in the 2021 season, but I do want him to come in behind the Racing for Heroes car as that goes across the finish line first, and he comes across second like shake and bake. So without further ado, please introduce our mystery guest, Brett.
Oh, yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to bring our real race car driver on for the last episode of the season of 2020, Jesse Iwuji.
Hey, Jesse.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, listen, anything for you. And like I said, I am so happy that you're a fellow Navy officer, and you were on Comstock, I think. My first ship was a tank landing ship back in the day.
Nice. Yeah, I was on USS Comstock for my second ship. My first ship was a minesweeper. I was on a few of them because we were doing the crew swaps.
Yeah.
And I was on USS Dexterous, USS Chief, USS Warrior.
Nice. And you weren't aboard the one. You weren't aboard it when that one ran aground out in the Pacific, right?
Nope. I'm a better officer of the deck than that.
Good man. No, listen, and so I have a place in my heart for a fellow surface warfare officer. So, and like I said, coming in, I had a call with Colin Garrett this morning. I'm like, I'm talking to Jesse Iwuji. Like, I'm so excited, and he's like, tell him he's like such a nice guy, and I really, really enjoy talking to him. And he's looking forward to racing against you again. I just want you to know that.
Cool. Yeah. Colin's cool, and it's really cool what they got, the program that they got going, and small team just trying to make it happen. And I completely understand the effort because I come from the same place.
Yep. So tell us about your ride. I mean, what's going on? You're getting ready for the 21 season. Bring us up to speed.
Yeah. So right now, putting in a lot of effort each and every day, trying to get ready for 2021. We don't have everything solidified yet because There's a million and one things and new opportunities continue to pop up every day, which is good. It's better than nothing happening. So we're just trying to figure out what's the best move for me. So we're working on a lot of different things right now, but really it's just, putting together the partnerships. I mean, as you know, in NASCAR and just motorsports in general, you got to make sure you have the right partnerships, sponsors, all that good stuff to make your racing journey happen. Racing costs money. All the dollars and cents go into tires, fuel, people,
engines,
transportation. Race cars. Race cars getting damaged. All these things. You just need the right partnerships, and luckily, me and my agent have been able to kind of build my brand, build my platform, and have something to that other brands and companies can leverage for their marketing purposes. So it's a lot of hard work, but I love doing it.
Are you planning on being at Daytona? I guess I don't know if that's the first race though. I think it's California, right?
No, Daytona. Daytona's the first race of the season, middle of February, and then so Daytona Oval is the first race, and now the second race is going to be Daytona Road Course.
Oh.
So 2 straight weeks in Daytona.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's cool. I'm sure you're looking forward to that, though. Are you planning on being an Xfinity series, right? That's where you're at going in this year?
That's the plan. Yeah, the plan is to run that Xfinity race for those 2 weekends right there. So yeah, my goal is to run Xfinity all year next year, as many races as we can. You know, we're putting together everything we can right now so that we can actually make that happen. And you know, yeah, that's the plan, that's the vision, and I want to just gain experience right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Brett Morash, if I may interject here, let's hear about Apexes and hot laps. Enough about the future. Jesse Iwuji, tell me a motivating racing story for the motivators out there.
Motivating racing story. You know what? There's a lot of fun stuff that happens on track, but I think what's even cooler is some of the opportunities and things that happen off track because of what we get to do on track. And honestly, probably one of my coolest experience I've ever had was when I was able to, me and my team that I had at the time, a few years ago, we were able to give a ride in a race car. We converted a K&N car into a two-seater.
Oh, cool.
And then we gave a ride to a little kid. His name was Darian Nordstrom. He was 4 years old. At that time, he was diagnosed with a terminal form of cancer.
Oh, man.
Doctors told him he only had a few months to live. I don't even a few, 2 months to live. And we were able to, I heard his story. I actually took money from my my racing funds that I had for an upcoming race. I took some of that money and used it to pay for him and his family to fly out to where my team was at that time. We got that race car that we had that had 2 seats in it, and I gave him a ride around a track because that was one of his bucket list wishes. And through things like that and all the other people who had done really great things for him, I believe that kind of gave him the energy, gave him the spirit to keep fighting. And that year, he made it to his 5th birthday. He made it to the next year, to his 6th birthday. And just before his 7th birthday, he passed away. But right before he passed away, I was able to see him again because he had told his mom, he said, "Mommy, I don't want to see Jesus until I see Jesse again." And I made it like my all to get out there, go see him one more time. I gave him some stuff. You know, 6 days later, he passed away. So, you know, he's always in our hearts. And it's people like Darian, those stories and those opportunities to do things like that for people. That's what makes this racing thing cool. So racing on track's fun, but doing stuff like that's even better.
No, and I appreciate that greatly. And we're kind of getting to the end of the segment, but Jesse, is there a website that people can go to learn more?
Yeah, they can find me at jesseiwuji.com. That's JESSEIWUJI.com. And if you can't remember how to spell it, just go to Google and type in Navy NASCAR driver. I should be the only one that pops up for about 5 pages.
I would hope so. All right. Well, Brett and Jesse, listen, thanks for your time. And Jesse, I'm hoping we have you on again in the later in January and onward. So thanks, guys.
Yeah,
most definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to all you guys. And that ends our kind of our Navy section of the show. Our next guest.
Hey, don't forget the Marines.
And the Marine Corps. It's part of the Navy. So thank you, Brett, for reminding me. This is my show, buddy. So anyway, our next guest, though, is an Army officer. It is Brigadier General Loree Sutton, who is a medical corps, a psychiatrist. I knew her when she had first retired from the military and was Commissioner of Veteran Services for New York City and is now running for Mayor of New York City. And we're super happy to have her on today. But, you know, as anytime we have a general officer on, we are going to play ruffles and flourishes for her. So, Alex, please. All right. I thought that would give you a laugh, General.
As you were, Lieutenant Commander.
Carry on.
Carry on.
So, no, General, thanks for being on the show. I'm a huge Loree Sutton fan because I've seen, you know, the amazing work that you've done in the veteran community and you know, especially with things like veteran homelessness in New York City. So, without further ado, so welcome aboard.
Thank you so much, Brett. I'm delighted to be with you today. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no, thanks, General. And General, tell us about you know, being commissioner in New York City. I mean, you went from, you know, leading troops and major programs to herding cats or veterans, I like to think as herding cats in New York City.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, Brett, for nearly 30 years, I was so privileged to lead troops in harm's way in combat, as well as at home on the war front, as well as a White House fellow. I successfully led troops in the nation's most diverse organization, as well as the most massive bureaucracy. And here in New York City, I took everything I had learned during those 30 years and put it to use here. And didn't we do such an amazing job, our team of teams, in working for veterans and giving them homes?
Yeah, and I always tell people about my time working homeless services, and you know, you were a big part of that as we got to, you know, what they refer to as functional zero. But when I started in 2013 in New York City, the veteran homeless population was 10% of about 36,000 people that were homeless. And of course, you know, over the past few years, we've seen the number of homeless, you know, double in New York City. But the veteran population of homeless people has gone down to what they refer to as functional zero, which is sort of like I like to think it was like the 3-month churn. You know, life circumstance happens, people end up in the shelter.
Well, that's right. And you'll recall that it really took a team of teams. We put human relationships at the core of everything that we did, and we built around that. And of course, the work is ongoing. But to be able to, you know, automate the vet tracker, to establishing the landlord hotline, to standing up the veteran peer coordinators, and you know, when you work in partnership at all levels, good things, really good things can happen.
No, and I think you're right, and that's where I think, you know, you're coming in to hopefully, you know, being mayor here shortly. You'll really be able to talk about, be able to really address some of those issues that are going on by scaling those, especially those parts of the program that are scalable.
Absolutely. There is plenty that is scalable, to include the aftercare. That is so essential. And plus, now we have the opportunity to continue to do the work on the supply front, to do the rezonings, to be able to inform the state's 421A tax exemption policy when it gets renewed in 2022, to be able to align the subsidies and rezonings with the tax exemptions so that we can maximize our impact on the ground for all New Yorkers.
Now that's great, and I see your vision, and I am certain that you are one of the few people that can carry that out in a quick period of time. So along those lines, tell us about COVID-19. I know you have some thoughts and plans on that.
Well, absolutely. You know, I published an op-ed in March laying out really a gap that I saw and that I still see in our state and national strategy. We need to set up safe intermediary monitoring stations where individuals can be safely quarantined, they can be monitored, they can then be transported to further medical care if needed. But, you know, particularly in a place like New York, where so many of our New Yorkers, particularly in the outer boroughs, Black and brown communities in impoverished neighborhoods, they're living in 2- and 3-generation households, and they cannot safely quarantine. And so I'm very pleased, of course, with the vaccine and all of that progress. I'm also very pleased that our testing has gotten so much faster. That's going to be the holy grail. But you know what else, Brett? I'm very excited about the technologies that now can be applied to actually purify the air. And that's something that I'm working on right now. And that would be a huge game changer to open up our city and nation.
Oh, and I think that is absolutely true. I actually went out of my way this past Saturday to go in to a restaurant in City Island in the Bronx, specifically because they were shutting it down on Monday. And I wanted to make sure that that small business stayed open, and anything I can do to kind of help that, you know, and you're looking at obviously from a much more macro perspective, but it has implications to sort of the micro person level.
Absolutely. Our small business owners, the ma and pa bodegas, the restaurants, the cafes, the retail, Broadway, all of those things that make New York City, New York. And we have to keep faith with them, and we have to do everything that we can to safely open our city up.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, when I hear you talk and you know, just kind of my own experience, I think you're right, though. It's sort of this, you have to have this high level plan, but it has to operate within the very personal level, because you are dealing with people.
Face to face, heart to heart. And, you know, I think we can all rightly demand that Congress pass this stimulus bill today. They cannot go home people's lives and livelihoods are depending on it, particularly in the middle of the holiday season.
Yeah. No, and listen, I saw a meme the other day on Facebook, that the people in Congress right now, regardless of political party, have been getting a paycheck since the beginning of the pandemic, and there's people right now who are struggling.
And it's not enough to call our workers essential workers and to honor them and clap and all the rest. Okay, that's great, but now we have to reconfigure our tattered social contract and make it into a city covenant that honors, that provides access to health care, that provides a living wage, that provides even access to restrooms. I mean, it's just beneath the dignity of a city like New York not to have the most basic provisions for humans to live.
Yeah.
And that's what we're up against. And that's going to be the challenge for the next mayor. I can hardly wait.
Yeah, absolutely. So what inspires you about running for mayor? I mean, tell us about that.
Well, Brett, I've had the privilege these last several years of being able to work in every borough, every neighborhood, working with the 500,000 veterans and their loved ones. And, veterans issues are New Yorkers' issues. And so every single policy issue that's come across city council and the administration, and it's occurred to me so many times that City Hall needs a trustworthy partner to be able to link up with the private sector, philanthropic, social sector. And that's really the major reason why I got into this race. The Amazon debacle really just got me lit with, just outrage for those individuals, the small business owners, the Queensbridge residents and leaders who knew that this was a once in a lifetime opportunity. And so that was 13 months ago when I got into the race.
Yeah.
And now that seems almost quaint. I wanted to make the city work from the City Hall perspective. Now it's to make the city work at all. But fundamentally, still, I value relationships. Relationships are the heart of the matter, and safety is at the heart of relationships. And I bring that perspective to everything I do, whether it be small business, whether it be public health, whether it be law enforcement. We have to bring our city back to life foundationally on safe streets, safe workplaces, and safe schools.
And look, I live in New Rochelle, and I'm just outside the city, but it does, what happens in New York City has implications for all of the surrounding area. I mean, and it is what it is, and it's a world-class city. And I truly believe that you're one of the few people that could come in behind Mayor de Blasio and make a huge sea change in a way that people will accept and be on board for.
Well, from your lips to God's ears, Brett, and I'll tell you what, did you know that New York City has had 109 mayors, all of them men? So that's a whole other element of this, that as women, we bring a different sensibility, a different relational quality to our leadership. And I think it's time. It's really time.
Well, and obviously I want to see you win and continue to do awesome things. But one thing we didn't talk about, General, is how did you get to be a general? Because you had a storied military career as well. And if we could briefly talk about that, and I told my listeners beforehand that you actually have a nautical navigation story about riding around the desert. So, but I'll volley to you.
Brett. Early in my career, I had just finished my first duty assignment with 3-9 Infantry, first woman assigned to an infantry unit. I was a mental health officer on a peacekeeping tour in the Sinai, Egypt. That was amazing. I fell in love with our troops and our families. I just wanted my world turned upside down.
You get to wear the orange beret, right? Like it's like a special peacekeeping mission.
That's right.
That's right.
And Herb, safety first, teamwork, and all of the rest there at South Camp. And so I went from that experience then to Germany. 2 weeks later, the wall came down. 9 months later, we were called to be the lead heavy armored division in the first Gulf War. So I had 25,000 troops that I was responsible for their mental health and well-being. And, so...
Easy job for you, though, General.
It's all about relationships. So I drove...
Sure.
I had a Humvee, and my driver is a specialist Santor from Cleveland, such a great young troop. And so when we started out, Brett, we didn't have any way. All we could do was to dial in the coordinates, shoot an azimuth, and because the Humvee altered the magnetic function of the compass,
Oh, right.
I would have to get out of the vehicle, go 10 meters over, shoot an azimuth. There were no terrain features, so I would imagine a little crest in the desert, get back in the Humvee, and then we'd go another 10 meters and have to do the same thing. Well, that was not going to work, and thankfully, this is another one of those times when partnerships, the private sector, Loree was a company that does ocean navigational equipment. That made all of the difference. And you know, the Iraqis, they didn't know until the end of the war. In fact, there's a great satellite picture that shows below where the Iraqi border, it looked like an anthill because we didn't need roads. We could just, the Loree navigation device took us straight there. And above in Iraq, it was all arteries, you know, because they were confined to roads. And that's what really made the difference in the first Gulf War.
Yeah, and well, GPS wasn't like it is today. It wasn't as prolific, obviously. And Loree and Charlie actually is only accurate to about a quarter mile, but in the desert, who cares, right? I mean, so...
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So I will forever be, you know, it was one of my early career experiences with the importance of public-private partnerships and how seemingly little things can have outsized impact in determining our national security and the outcome of a war.
And General, I got to cut you off there because this is the end of the show. But listen, seriously, good luck. And I am absolutely looking forward to your election. So thank you for being on.
Thank you, Brett. Stay strong.
All right, you too. All right, thanks again, Racing for Heroes fans. Last show of 2020. See you in 2021, January 8th. WVOX, 1460 AM dial, or worldwide, vox.com. Take care.